Hello explorers, thanks for joining us again and welcome back to another exciting and informative video on our YouTube channel. If you are joining us for the first time, I want to thank you for watching. For those of you who follow our channel, you notice we focus on informative and educating content on this channel. Have you ever heard about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement? You might have seen it on television or you might have just read it on magazine. Today, I'm going to outline to you 6 reasons why Africa's new free trade area is a global game changer. So without any more delay, let's just dive straight into it. But before I outline that to you, allow me set the stage running. The African Continental Free Trade is the largest global free trade area by countries participating. It could transform the continent of Africa's economic prosperity. The second thing is it is aimed to be the model of cross-border cooperation in an area of growing isolationism in the world. The third very important thing to know here is that the agreement must overcome the implementation challenges to realize its many benefits, which we shall be discussing in this video. So without any more delay, let's just dive straight into it. Launched on 1st of January, the AfCFTA is an exciting game changer. Currently, Africa accounts for just 2% of global trade, and only 17% of Africa's exports are intracontinental, compared with 59% for Asia and also 68% for Europe. The potential for the transformation across Africa is therefore significant. The impact will create the largest free trade area in the world, measured by numbers of countries participating, connecting 1.3 billion people across 655 countries with a combined gross domestic product and GDP value of just over 3.4 trillion in the US dollars. The pact comes at a time when much of the world is turning away from cooperation and also free trade. Moving forward, the agreement aims to reduce all trade costs and enable Africa to integrate further into global supply chains. It will eliminate 90% of tariffs, focus on outstanding non-tariff barriers, and also create a single market with free movement of goods and services. Cutting red tapes and simplifying customs productions and also procedures will bring in significant income gains. Beyond trade, the pact also will increase and address movement of persons and labor, competition, investments, intellectual property. Are you a businessman planning to move to the continent to do business, or you are an African diaspora contemplating doing business? I will encourage you to listen to these 6 very important and also transformative issues that has brought to the continent of Africa and leading it as a game changer. The first option here, looking at the game changer that we are talking about, is that the AfCFTA will significantly reduce poverty in the continent of Africa. How would that happen? According to a recent report by World Bank, the pact will boost regional income by 7%, looking at just over 450 billion US dollars. It will speed up wage growth for women, lift 30 million people out of extreme poverty by 2035. Wages for both skilled and unskilled workers will also be boosted by just over 10.3% for unskilled workers and over 9.8% for skilled workers. Moving ahead, the African Continental Free Trade highlights the significant and increased commitment to the point out of the African Union to reduce poverty through trade, a link that would increasingly recognized. According to the words of the World Trade Organization Director, Dr. Ngozi Nkoja-Iweala, they recently stated that trade is an enforcement or is a force for good, and properly harnessed can help lift millions of people from poverty, bringing shared prosperity. The second thing that this AfCFTA will bring to the continent of Africa will be a positive economic outcome, will be many varied in different aspects, diversifying export, accelerating growth and competitiveness, and integrating into the global economy. It would increase foreign direct investment, increase employment opportunities and also incomes, and broaden economic inclusion are just a few of the positive outcomes that this particular trade agreement will bring to the continent of Africa. Also, it is estimated that the agreement will increase Africa's export by 550 billion, mostly in manufacturing. Intra-continental export will also increase by over 81%, while the increase to non-African countries will be 19%. According to Mo Ibrahim Foundation, if successfully implemented, the African Continental Free Trade could generate a combined consumption and business spending of over 6.37 trillion to the point by 2030. Furthermore, markets and economic across the region will reshape, leading to creation and also new industries and expansion of over key sectors. Significantly, it will make African countries more competitive globally. The very important thing that this particular pact will bring to the continent will be women's stands to gain a little bit more. The African Continental Free Trade will also clearly focus on improving the lives of women. There is a risk that some of the economic gains made by women through the trade could also reverse by the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Economic Commission for Africa, women account for over 70% of informal cross-border trade in Africa. Through such work, women can also vulnerably be harassed, violence, confiscated their goods and services, and also be imprisoned. Tariff reductions under the AfCFTA will enable informal women trade to operate through formal channels, bringing better protection. Further and growing manufacturing sectors will improve and also provide new jobs opportunities, especially for women. This particular trade, according to the Secretary General considering the African continent expansion and opportunity, it will close the gender gap and income gap that has existed for over a couple of years in the continent of Africa. The opportunity for semi-medium-sized enterprises to access new market. This is significant since small medium-sized enterprises account for over 90% of the jobs in the continent of Africa. If you are new to this channel, we will encourage you to subscribe and share our videos to your different network. The next integrity with regards to this park, it will mean trade integrity will be center stage with regards to the implementation. The AfCFTA offers an opportunity to promote good governance both globally and across Africa through the concept of trade integrity, defined as international trade transactions that are legitimate, transparent, properly priced as the way to ensure the legitimacy that global trading systems, the prevalence of illegal procedures or production of goods, for example, illegal mining or fishing, or goods resulting from child labor, for example, misinvoicement trade and transactions, and a whole lot of other things that concern some kind of fraud and opacity in most free trade zones will be stripped out by regards to regulation. It will need it more than ever before to assist with the pandemic response, undermines fair labor and also standards and human rights, and confiscated to also make sure that it involves the trade transaction, what goods are being traded for, which can be facilitated through the continent, and in making sure that it meets the standard of the different countries and parties that are involved. The next very important thing which this particular compact trade will bring to the continent will be especially the negative impact of the COVID-19 could be managed or could be cushioned, so to put it in that format. The pandemic is expected or has already, so to point out, to cost up to 79 billion in output losses in the African continent based on figures of 2020 to 2021. The African Development Bank Group African Economic Outlook of 2020 has supplemented the estimated that Africa could suffer, is already suffering, a GDP loss of over 20 in 2020, so to point out, between 145 billion US dollars in baseline and also just over 189 billion worst case scenario from the pre-COVID-19 estimate. So to look at that. However, trade in medical supplies and food has been disrupted in several ways. It is also being fully recognized across the continent that the AfCFTA presents a short-term opportunity for countries to build back better and also cushion the effect of this particular pandemic. In the longer term, the pact will also increase continent's resilience to further shocks that could happen, which is so essential that the African continent needs so badly. The last thing that we're going to focus on here will be the benefits of cooperation will set an example for the world. If you are new to our channel, we will encourage you to subscribe and share our videos to your different network. Across the world, countries are questioning trade agreements and economic integration, alongside turning away from global cooperation, leadership, and collective action. Political dynamics and driving short-termism, to the point on polarization and isolationism. Yet, our multiple threats demand long-term thinking and greater cooperation, and this is precisely what the African Continental Free Trade represents. While the world turns into one direction, the African Union is moving in an order deepening ties across the continent. At the same time, however, Africa could not lose sight of the significant challenges that still exist. Three stand out. First of all is implementation, which the continent should take into account. The recent article that is published by the African Center for Economic Transformation highlights how the agreement that is currently in implementation phase will accelerate economic transformation and help Africa escape the colonial legacy. Those three stress, however, it's so important that the devil in the implementation is so important. The recommendation as both of the approach which Africa needs to focus on will be national problems that require cross-border solutions, such as sharp water resources, regional energy markets, and also highways, which are just so important. Something more that the continent should focus on will be the second is equity. It will be crucial to understand that who gains and who loses from the pack. For example, smallholder farmers may also lose if they focus on the large-scale cash crops farming, which could lead to greater food insecurity and poor nutrition. The poverty and social impact, therefore, needs to be tackled and also tracked across sectors, and those who are in negative effect protection until attractive patterns of trade and replacement by robust value chains, value addition, increased international integration, greater investment creation, more jobs, and also increased economic impact. The third very important thing with regards to this will be also the infrastructure. According to the African Development Bank, African infrastructure needs a substantial over 130 to over 170 billion a year, with a financing gap between over 68 billion US dollar, driving most countries' trade outward rather than inward, which has affected Africa. Instead of doing business within itself, it planned to do business with different countries. In the words of the Ghanaian president, Nana Akufo-Addo, recently stated that the COVID pandemic has also highlighted the importance of the success of this particular continental free trade, a success that is now within reach for the African people. Despite current challenges, according to his words, the destruction of the global supply chain has also reinforced the necessity for closer integration amongst the African people so that they can also boost a mutual self-sufficiency, strengthen their economies, and also reduce dependency on external forces. Hopefully, we've been able to inform you with regards to the strategic importance and the 6 very, very important reasons why the African Continental Free Trade is a game changer, not just for Africa, but also for the world. Are you coming from one of the African countries that have seen an impact with regards to this particular free trade? We would like to hear from you. If you feel that this is a positive impact and implementation could be a challenge for the continent, we would also like to hear from you in the comment section. We want to thank you for watching The Explorer. Hopefully, we've informed you. We're looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. We encourage you to check some of our other informative videos on our YouTube channel. For now, I want to thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.